Hi everyone and welcome to another edition of the Race Report. I'm Ron Hills. Two of the best street stock drivers in the Twin Tiers are Charlie and Lee Sharpsteen. And one of the best interviewers, that's Morgan Colegrove. So we put the three together at Chubby Sports Bar for a talk about the past, present, and even the future of asphalt racing in the Twin Tiers. Here's Morgan Colegrove.
In the Twin Tiers of New York State, along with all over the country, family names are synonymous with sporting events, and in auto racing, it's pretty much the same thing. And one of the most outstanding names, in a lot of ways, in the Twin Tiers in auto racing is Sharpsteen. And tonight we've got Charlie Sharpsteen and Lee Sharpsteen with us, representing Sharpsteen Motorsports. Welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you.
The thing has always been family with the Sharpsteens. That's one thing I've always noticed, is it's always a group is there. It's not just the driver and the crew. It's always the group. Grandpa Wilbur started this whole thing back in 1951, and it's kind of stayed that way as family motorsports.
Yeah, we've been in it for quite a while, and it's kind of been, each generation is probably added an extra racer or so. So our family right now is pretty strong. We probably got 3 or 4 dirt track racers, and then 3 or 4 asphalt racers. So, I mean, every year it seems to get a little big in our family, and we all kind of live and breathe it, so we're together a lot, and we talk about it a lot. We hang around each other a lot more than probably normal families do, because we've always been like that.
Oh, what's normal? When you can right down to it.
Well, it'd be odd for us to hang out less than 3 nights a week. It would be odd.
Back a couple of years ago, I think it was 2013, you had an addition to your family, youngest son, and that year you had on the back of your car the names of your children, which is expected. It's a family affair, but added on at the very end said, and a player named later. I remember seeing that on the card. So it is definitely family-oriented 100%, but you admitted something shortly after that, shortly after the birth of your son, that you never can get away with what you put on the internet. You said that you realized you had an addiction because a couple hours after the birth of Wyatt, you were trying to figure out how you were going to get an excuse to go racing. And so how do you balance? I mean, racing is an addiction. Racing is a full-time job. It doesn't pay as well as some full-time jobs, but it's a full-time job. How do you balance that family versus the time it takes to be a winning race car driver?
Well, you got to have a pretty understanding wife, So we both have pretty understanding wives, They know what we do, and they knew how we grew up, So Lee's wife has grown right up in racing. My wife has just kind of had it forced on her. She's been very supportive, and I've never, had any slack about it. Even though there's always that inner struggle about what you should do that's right,
And you always try to keep that balance. Lee, you've got on your Facebook page a lot of pictures where you've done things with the family, not just racing. I mean, that's the balance you've got to work hard at, or else racing can really be a detriment to the family.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird because when you run into people that don't see a lot, they always say we're surprised to see you home. Every time we turn around, you're on vacation or you're at a racetrack, or sometimes, for instance, last week we were going to Mahoning Valley and we had a lot of problems with the truck and then the trailer. So then we had turned around and my in-laws, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, ended up taking the truck and trailer back, and I caught a ride and ended up taking a couple of the bandoleros that I work on to Bethel, and I ended up in Bethel within an hour. So, I mean, we're always all over, we're always busy, and we're trying to keep everybody happy. And like he said, we're always helping each other and trying to get to the races. And when we're not at the races, trying to take the family to do stuff too. So, I mean, it's time-consuming definitely, but we're always on the go, and I think we do it because we enjoy it.
One of the drawbacks to having this many family members in racing, you're always on the track with them at some point or another. Back, I believe it was in 2011, you had a 7-race or 8-race winning streak at Shangri-la 2. Your biggest competition were your brother and, well, both brothers, and actually one of your brothers snapped that streak on you. How does that make a little bit of a bad situation at the breakfast table the next morning?
No, I think you kind of take the good with the bad. You know, I know like my team didn't want to see it come to an end, but I was also happy to see my dad's car that he had owned with my brother Gil, you know, be the ones to do it. And a lot of times, like, we'd get frustrated with each other. You know, if someone's winning, we'd be like, you know, why don't you let the other one win a little bit? Or no, you know, they want it, you got to come get it.
Early on, you guys said something over there at the table. It was usually over by the time you got, even if you got a little upset at each other, it was usually over by the time you left the racetrack.
Yeah, you know, there's been a couple times where it's gotten kind of heated, you know, and after a couple seconds you sit there and you're like, am I really going to be mad at my brother about this? You know, it's over and it's done with, and you think, no, that's dumb, you know, we'll let it slide. But someone else, though, you know, they might hold a little bit of a grudge a little longer, but usually with us we try to let it go pretty quick because we know nothing good's going to come from it.
There's been times on the track too, you know, when you're in the car it seems a lot different than like when we sit down and watch because our mother tapes it every week, you know, so sometimes it doesn't really seem like it was in the car on the track, you know. So there's one time I was mad at Lee. I got done racing. I was pissed. I threw my stuff in the car, loaded up by myself, went home, you know. And then I'm watching the tape the next day, you know, and he never touched me. I thought he did, you know, and he never touched me. And then he picked on me for like 2 weeks for taking the air off my spoiler, you know. So it was funny.
Question for you. You've had a pretty good season so far this year. Picked up a feature winner too this year. Car's running strong. He's in front of you. You're coming down to the last 5 laps. Do you treat him as any other competitor, or do you say that's my brother, or do you get rougher because it might be your brother?
Well, we talked about that. You know, sometimes we trust each other more, and we'll drive it in harder, you know, and then, you know, once we get in there, then it's like, I'm in too deep or something, you know, and that's usually how trouble happens with us. But, you know, we race hard. It don't matter if it's each other, you know. I mean, we might have each other's back a little more than, you know, when we're together out there, but
there's been multiple times too when people look at us, you know, because if we start side by side in the front row, we're out for blood with each other more than anybody else, you know. They'll say, what are you guys doing? Why don't you just run side by side the whole race, you know, then let whoever go at the end? We're like, no way.
One of those deals, if we trade a little paint, we'll help each other fix it.
Yeah.
But nobody really tries to put anybody out. That's not my point. But I just wondered if there was a little bit of respect for that, especially on your situation. He's the older brother.
Yeah, usually there's a little more room for error when we're around each other than there is around somebody else, you know. We can dive it in a little harder, you know, and ask my brother, I'll let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, but we want to beat each other too because we don't want to listen to the other one all week, you know.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of a bragging rights at the family reunion type attitude.
More with Charlie and Lee Sharpsteen when the race report continues.
You're watching the Race Report on Fox 40.
Unicorn Electronics in the Valley Plaza, Johnson City has the best pricing and selection of audio, video, and computer cables in the area. Don't spend a fortune on that HDMI cable for your new HD TV or Blu-ray player. Unicorn Electronics has quality cables in the lengths you need at a price you can afford. Expanding your network, Unicorn has the patch cables and accessories to make it happen. When you need to connect, think Unicorn Electronics in the Valley Plaza, Johnson City.
30 years of satisfied customers. That's the proud history of Brush and Pallet Auto in Candor. We have a large selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Here is this week's Car of the Week. We'll give you a $1,000 minimum trade-in, and we have financing options to fit your needs, including a first-time buyers program. Think you can't afford it? We think you can. Check us out at brush-pallet.com or visit us in person at 598 Owego Road in Candor, New York.
98.1 The Hawk, number 1 for 20 in a row.
This is Jason Aldean.
Hot new country.
This is Luke Brown.
And kiss tomorrow goodbye.
This is Charles,
Dave,
and Hillary.
and we are
Lady Annabella.
And I don't know why you don't take me downtown anymore.
Binghamton's Hot New Country.
This is Carrie Underwood.
Every tear-soaked whiskey memory blown away.
Binghamton's Hot New Country. 98.1 The Hawk.
Welcome back to the Race Report. We continue our interview with Charlie and Lee Sharpsteen. Here again is Morgan Colegrove.
You've done a lot of different types of racing, not just the. A lot of people know you from the street stocks, but you've had a UMP car at 5 Mile Point, the IMCA style car. You owned a Legend at one time. You put some laps on that. The thing that I noticed is you, Lee, especially you, and I've seen Gil's picture a number of times, and I think he had a championship at 5 Mile Point. You raced both services. I haven't seen your name too awful much. Are you afraid of getting dirty?
No, I was second to Gil in that when he won the championship.
Yeah, but he won. Charlie won the national quarter mile, prestige race at 5 Mile Point that they have at the end of the year. Back when they had the IMCA cars against Sean Lyas and Randy Hall and Bob Brott. When those guys all ran there, Charlie ended up winning that main event race at 5 Mile Point that year.
To go though, don't let them fool you. They attacked each other.
It got crazy.
Without getting to the front.
Well, they've had streaks like in the early 2000s where they both won 3 or 4, dirt UMP races in a row.
Okay. Full body car or the modified?
I kind of like the modified actually, with the horsepower and stuff like that. If you had a full funding deal, that's the way to go. I really enjoyed that. You got to be smooth. The races are long enough where you got to save your tires, so there's strategy in it. And then you also got to keep your wheels clean. So, there's a lot that goes into that, and there's also a lot of preparation. But I also like the full fendered cars. We finished third in a super late model race at Oswego, and that was the only time I had ever run that race. And with the fiberglass body, so that was kind of like the modifieds. You could lean a little bit, but not too much. But the street stocks, I've always called that like the working man's class. That division, it seems like no matter if you're on asphalt or dirt, it's an all-out battle. You can lean on each other, you can use each other up pretty good, but you also know when someone crosses the line and they did something intentional. So there's a lot of room there, whereas like the open-wheeled stuff, there's not. You can nerf someone with like your sidebar, but you can't drive in there and use them up pretty good and then keep the wheels on it at the same time, So
you bring up a good point about using the side rail. You're touching, you're doing this, you're riding each other a little bit. A lot of kids coming into the sport today seem to think that you can run 25 laps on a quarter-mile track and never touch. They have a little bit different attitude. You guys know, you put that many cars on a short track, you're going to trade paint a little bit. And you know the difference whether somebody's trying to take you out or just lean on you a little bit.
Yeah, we can't make it through with 10 cars on a quarter-mile track at Shillong.
We couldn't make it in a two-man heat between the two of us.
Yeah, if you put us out there on a one-on-one, there's 5-lap battle. There's going to be a lot of paint rubbing going on.
You get into somebody, though, there's gentleman ways of doing it, too, Like, if you really push a corner or something, and lean on the guy just a little, you sometimes you want to shake him, and there's a strategy to everything. Sometimes people will pull up alongside, sometimes they'll be pulling up alongside me, waving or something, trying to get, just screw with me a little bit. But,
he's smiling and it's breaking your concentration.
Well, it's just what you do. You always want the guy thinking about something else besides what you're gonna do.
The other thing is, when you're running that close, intentional or not, you're talking, okay, you rattle his cage a little bit or you rubbed a little bit, no big deal. When you're running a couple inches off a guy's back bumper and he turns the same way into turn one, lap after lap after lap, and then all of a sudden, about the fifth lap, he checks up 10 feet too early. You've got him. A lot of guys just don't understand that's going to happen. It wasn't a dump. It's something happened different.
Right, and a lot of it too, when you're running on a real small track, there's not like a lot of room. Like if you get under someone on a big track, you got the whole straightaway to make sure you're alongside of them and judge where you are. Whereas on a small track, say it's like Chemung compared to like a Shangri-la 2, when you're diving in on someone, you have that corner to complete that pass, and you gotta hope that they don't come down and that they see it at the last second because of how tight it is and how small it is. You're always doing something on a small track compared to on a big track. You can plan your move a little bit better.
We're going to change gears here just a little bit. You mentioned Shangri-La 2. We talked about your win streak down there, and you had some success at Shangri-La 2. Gil's won a couple races down there, had a good success down there. We don't have a nickel invested, but we're all racers. What do we do to make that place go?
You gotta have trust. The thing is you gotta have somebody who can bring in the racers and have the racers trust them, and then just be consistent. I think that everybody that's there tries. Sometimes the combination, you get somebody talking bad or whatever, don't understand the situation, but it just kind of snowballed. I think the main thing is to bring in somebody that people trust and can be consistent, and then at the same time, I think when you get going, and they're going to have their prices, cheaper and better than everybody else's, and then get in the.
It's going to be a long road back.
I think you never know. Sometimes things change quickly.
More with Charlie and Lee Sharpsteen when the race report continues.
You're watching the Race Report on Fox 40.
For 3 generations, we've been building world-class American performance.
Like the new Edelbrock Power Package Top-End Kit, based on Edelbrock's powerful RPM crate engines. Each kit includes aluminum heads and intake, cam and lifters, gaskets, and hardware to build your own 400-plus horsepower Chevy small block. For 3 generations, it's pure American performance from the leader. Call now for your free Edelbrock catalog.
Edelbrock makes them right here in the USA.
30 years of satisfied customers. That's the proud history of Brush and Pallet Auto in Candor. We have a large selection of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Here is this week's Car of the Week. We'll give you a $1,000 minimum trade-in, and we have financing options to fit your needs, including a first-time buyer's program. Think you can't afford it? We think you can. Check us out at brush-pallet.com or visit us in person at 598 Owego Road in Candor, New York.
Welcome back to the Race Report. We continue our interview with Charlie and Lee Sharpsteen. Here again is Morgan Colegrove.
You got an opportunity right now that you can step up and say what you'd really like to say that you don't get a chance to say in those little short victory lane interviews about the guys that help you and the guys that have supported you, the businesses that have supported you.
Yeah, a lot of it, has always been family. We lean on each other for a lot of information, both technical and setup-wise. So, it's really hard to compare that to, the money and the business aspect. But then at the same time, financially, our dad's always been there for us no matter what to keep us going. And as of late, Coach's Pizza and Waverly, they've really stepped up and they help me. And no matter what my endeavors are lately, they've been right there to make sure that we've had funding and pizza and, whatever it is, and he got his kids into racing now.
Who has to eat?
Yeah, of course, we like pizza and chicken wings a lot, so that always helps out a lot. But, yeah, I'd say, between my dad and Coach's Pizza and family members, that really just helps us to go, and hopefully we do something big here again soon, because it's always a lot of fun.
I know Dad's been there. I know some of the same sponsors have worked with you. Anybody that you'd like to make sure that you say something to?
Well, there's, we both run Harry's Automotive Motors. He runs a Morgantini now, but they do a real good job for us. And there's Bernie's down at Horns True Value. Anytime we've ever went in there, he's helped us. Chuck at Pine City Tool, Mike McDonald, all these guys, they love racing, and they're like all the Frisbee family, they have garages or anything we've ever needed, they've always helped us out. Johnny Tracy, guys like that. We've gone down there and had stuff done, and we get ready to pay or whatever, and they're just like, just get out of here or whatever, and it's like that with a lot of things, when you help out guys or whatever, kind of one hand washes another type of thing.
The most memorable experience in racing, and also the event that you'd like to wipe off the history books that you don't ever want to think about again. You first, Charlie. Your most memorable, and for want of a better description, least memorable.
Well, I don't know. It's probably between winning the fall brawl and then the 2004 championship at Chemung. We didn't win a race that year, but we won the championship. And the fall brawl, that was fun because it was a loaded field, and I don't care what anyone says. You can stack up some of them top street stock guys, and you can bring in one of your modified guys, and I'm betting that they're just as competitive as we are. They're not going to blow us away, and there's a couple guys that are pretty talented no matter what they do, whether it's Hirschman or Hausfeld or, I'm not saying them guys wouldn't fare as good as we do, but I don't think that they're going to come and crush us. It's pretty competitive.
Equipment, you can hold your own with anybody.
Yeah, and we've always felt like that. We feel if we had what the other guys have, and it don't matter what we race, but we've always paid out of our own pocket. We get sponsors, but I would say that most of the time that it's just because they help. I mean, besides Mike, that he owned Lee's car, but besides that, we've always paid for everything ourselves, and most of the names on the cars are just guys that'll help us out in the garage or our friends, or it's never been about the money.
Well, we did the most memorable. Is there one event in your racing career you'd like to
there's one that's on that screen all the time on that show where I smash my car down the backstretch wall, ride up at about 5 foot in the air, and then come down in a big ball of flames. That kind of stunk that day.
It was a bad memory for you, but it really got the crowd excited. Is that one of those deals?
Yeah, well, it's like when you hit the ground and your whole car's on fire, and you're like, holy cow, this is bad. And they bring your car home on a flatbed rollback and skid it into the garage for you because they feel like they owe you that, But
you really don't want it there because there's not a lot that you can use off it, right?
Right. It was pretty sad, because your whole car is pretty much destroyed. That was probably the worst. But
Lee, same question. Most memorable event?
Probably, I think I was 13. I was going to the races with him and my brother Gil, and they always had a mechanics race. Well, you know how those mechanics races go. There's always, somebody that jumps in someone's car that had won there all the time before, but they're working on that guy's car that night. Well, I went to the races with those guys and was helping in the pits. I usually do, and my dad ended up letting me run the mechanics race, and I think Gil's car. So I made sure I went over there first in line because I had seen how that went for a couple years and made sure I was going out first. He had leaned in the window right before I was getting ready to go out, and he said, hey, you know, if you win this mechanics race, and I forget who was driving someone else's car, he says, we'll build you one for next year. I was like, all right, you know, so I got all pumped up for it, and I went out and I had won it, and I think that guy had spun out or something with like 2 laps to go, and they didn't throw a caution, and so just that mechanics race win, you know, I got out, and they were asking me how it went and all that stuff, and I didn't care. All I kept saying was, my dad's going to build me a car next year, and I was only 13 or 14, you know, and he was trying to renegotiate the deal at that point. I was like, there was no turning back. So that was probably my most memorable win, you know. There was a bunch of them, but that ranks right up there, you know. That was funny at the same time as it was fun, and it felt like you were going 100 miles an hour because you hadn't drove anything before, but at the same time you're only going about 10.
The one you want to forget?
Man, I like remembering them all.
Now, if you've got to count down through 5 or 6 of them, there might be a problem.
The 2 at Chemung where you were leading to the last lap or 2 there at them.
Yeah, there's
Big 10 races there, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it was weird. That's probably right up there. They had a Big 10 race, and the same guy in the very last lap in the same corner failed to make the corner, and we had led both races, you know, and there's a lot of lap money and stuff like that, and both times we failed to finish, and we sat down there, spun out, so I'd probably like to forget those ones. That'd rank right up there.
Special thanks to Morgan Colegrove and to our guests, Charlie and Lee Sharpsteen. Please join me next week for a special Thanksgiving Day edition of the Race Report coming to you from Watkins Glen. Until then, for the entire staff, thanks for watching. I'm Ron Hills, and I'll see you at the races.
So right now, Gil getting ready to pick up the pace a little bit. Chris lagging back. Some gamesmanship going on up there at the head of the pack, but right now they're both on the throttle, and they're hitting that line. Green is out, and with Chris Zacharias hitting that outside groove, he's got Lee Sharpsteen on his back bumper. Right now, Lee in third, looking for racing room as they're side by side up at the head of the field.